Today's guest didn't start out to be a trainer. He was an owner. He was partners with a trainer. He said, I want to learn a little more. Let me be a groom. Let me be a hotwalker. And the next thing you know, he's got his own stable. Coming up right now on Midlantic Racing Today, trainer Stacey Viands going to join us, talk about some of his horses and some of his journey over the last several years as a trainer at Charlestown. A little bit later, Charlestown track announcer Paul Espinosa going to join me, and we'll talk about Ryan's run in the Robert G. Leavitt Stakes last week. We'll talk about the Sylvia Bishop Memorial and why there are only 4 horses entered. And we'll take a look ahead a little bit to down the road a piece. Charlestown Classic coming up in just about a month at Charlestown Races. My name's Frank Vespi. This is Midlantic Racing Today, powered by The Racing Biz, theracingbiz.com. Today's episode is Charlestown Races Today, and it is presented by Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. Please like and subscribe. We appreciate that very much. And let's bring in Stacey Viands to be interviewed by Ted Black.
A little busy with these babies. Got a couple babies and got a couple more coming in, but we're doing all right.
Yeah, I meant to ask you, they just started the 2-year-old races a couple weeks ago. I think the 9th or the 10th was the first one. And I saw another one did fill this weekend. So yeah, it was going to be one of the things I was asking about, Stacey, how the 2-year-olds are progressing, and when you think your first one's going to hit the track for an actual race.
Well, I'll tell you, I got 2 3-year-olds, West Virginia breds, a boy, a gelding, and a filly. They didn't want to run them when they were 2, so we let them mature and develop. I've got one in Thursday night tomorrow, and she's picked second. She's a nice little filly, so we hope that turns out good. She's by Golden Lad, so. And then I got a 3-year-old boy who is by Central Banker. And we entered him. The race didn't go, so we enter back. I think it's the next couple days when we enter back. So, and he seems to be pretty nice too. That's Jill Daniels and Melinda Golden.
Really? Wow. Yeah. Two very good owners for you.
Yes.
Take us, Stacey, kind of take us back to the beginnings. When did the career really start to flourish for you? And, give us a little background as far as what your involvement was in racing, early on in your life.
Well, I guess you take it back to about 96 or 97. I was the owner I went in partners with a couple horses with Ronney Brown. Mm-hmm. And then it turned into being his assistant. So I was there for 10 years with him. And then I decided to go out on my own, and I've been there since, the last 18 years. This year's 19 on my own. So it's been a journey. It was a lot of fun at the beginning, just, being a horse owner and watching it all progress and having the thrills and the downs too, really. But it turned out to be really good. I got into it pretty heavy after I started on my own. Then you really kind of find out what it's all about. It's like a 7-day, 24-hour shifts, especially when you do the babies. Right. Diva, Parisian Diva, she was a home bred. So that made that one really nice.
Talk about the experience of working with Ronney. What kind of stood out from you for those years you worked for Ronney, and obviously, he's still one of the perennial leading trainers up there. In fact, he is the leading trainer this year. Him and Nicole been leading owners the last 4 years. But what kind of stood out just watching him run his operation is some of the key things you had to take with you when you went to start your own barn, Stacey?
It started out, I started out with him as a partner, and then I went to hot walking, and then I went to a groom, and then I went to his assistant. So I went right on up the line, and I kept telling him, I said, "Hey, I'm going to have a lot of questions here, so don't get mad at me. You got to give me some influence." And he said, "Sounds like you want to go on your own." I said, "No, I'm just starting." But it was a lot of fun. We've been friends for a long time. I shipped the horses wherever they need to go, and did the saddling and everything, but just followed his orders and watched and learned, and it panned off. Really did.
Right. Obviously, what were the early days for you like, Stacey, when you were out on your own after working for Ronney all those years? What were those years? What were those early days like for you? When you had to run your own operation.
Long hours.
Right. Right.
Long hours when even if you get 3 or 4 horses, and then you take your time and you do what you need to do, and you don't cut corners, and then owners started coming, and then you started getting 6, 7, 10, and then I had to hire someone to help, because you just, when it gets to be a certain part, you can't do it by yourself and do it right. If you're not going to do it right, you don't do it. But it was good building it up. I had once upon a time I had 35 in the barn, and now I've got 25. So, which is a good number to have. I'm not a very big stable, but I've got good owners that's got decent horses, and done that through a lot of connections in Kentucky. Kerry Brogdon really helped me. Troy Rankin, Kenny McPeak, Mike Stidham, those guys there, I've bought horses from them, and they've sent horses to me to train for them, and then they have some that for me to purchase, owners to purchase. So you got some good connections, and you do good for them, then they, as they say, they always come back.
Right.
And so far so good, and I stay in contact with them, even though if I don't have something for them, I stay in contact with them, and it's a lot of fun, because those guys have a lot of success, and they're with the big players, and you can learn from them also.
Stacey, what was the obviously Parisian Diva was fantastic filly for you, but prior to that, when you win a lot of overnight races, was there one particular horse that you felt really kind of put you on the map and got more owners to look at you as far as having confidence in you as a trainer moving forward?
Well, we had a few there. Gator Dunn, we had him for Melinda Golden. We had a couple there, Maurice Casey. But Parisian Diva was probably the one that really put me on the map. And like I said, she was a homebred. We delivered her right there at the farm, at my farm there in Summit Point. And it was, she was quite the filly when she was born. It was, she had a lot of spirit to her, let's put it that way. And she turned out to be very nice. It's a shame that she had the back leg injury that deceased her, and it was like one of a million times that could happen, and it just had to happen to her. So we had a 15 out of 17, 1, 2, 3 with that filly, and she made 271,000, I believe it was. So
yeah, I remember we talked
around with her. Me and you talked about her a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I told you, if I make it back, what did I tell you? I had a horse that if I made it back, it would be who? Time to Rock.
Yep.
And I made it back with him. And he's been very good to me also. I think he's at 186,000 right now. So I've had a lot of fun with him. He's a great horse.
Hey, let's wrap up on Parisian Diva just for 1 second. Stacey, you said you saw her from the time she was basically foaled in the barn.
You're listening to Ted Black interviewing Stacey Viands on Midlantic Racing
when
Today.
She graduated as a 2-year-old, she won really impressively. When she won her maiden special weight race, looked like she was destined for stakes races, and of course, at 3, she turned out to be tremendous. Winning a couple more stakes races for you. So, what was that whole ride like for you, Stacey? Just knowing you had seen her from the days, when she's basically standing up in her stall as a weanling, all just being born all the way to winning those races and winning the stakes. And
it was the way she moved on the ground.
Okay.
It was just like when she run across the field in the paddock or whatever. It was like she was so light on her feet. It was just, you can really tell when you've been around them a long time which ones that you think is there. And one, she was great, and it was great to watch her grow up, and watch her develop. And she got along with one really good rider over there, and he's a trainer now, and that's Linworth Curlew. Mm-hmm. He loved her, and she loved him, and then they got along together, and whatever I needed him to do with her, he did it. I didn't use the jock very much for her because she was, like I said, she was a little high-spirited, but he got along with her. And when she heard his voice, she knew what she needed to do. And J.D. Acosta rode her most of the time. The first time she was supposed to run, he was at Colonial. And he calls me and he tells me he's in traffic. He can't make it. So Louis Batista was also riding for me at the time. And I told Louis, I said, "Are you in the first race?" And he said, "No." I said, "I've got one here that JD's been getting ready." I said, "You show up, you break her from the gate, you'll win." He said, "Really?" I said, "She's that good." And she had the 10-hole going 4.5, and it rained so hard and it was nothing but slop. And she won by, I don't know, 5 or 6, I think it was. And then he rode her a couple more times, and then JD took back over the reins, and he just had a great career with her. Them two got along very well. It was great. Never forget her.
No. Same. Her career ended early, Stacey, because she had won a couple stakes, and then she was, I believe, 4th in the Charlestown Oaks, right? Against Graydon Company.
And that was terrible trip. She got left at the gate, had to go 7 wide in the first turn, and I think Jose Montana rode her that night. JD was Delaware or somewhere, and he was in the traffic, so he didn't make it back that night. It was, and then he rode her in the, I think it was the Alma North down in Maryland. And I tell you what, if I had took her to Maryland and worked her over that track so she could have seen that big thing in the middle of the field, the big screen, she'd have won. Because when she seen the screen coming down the lane, she started putting her feet in the ground. She didn't know what to do. And JD said he got the he got to talking to her and whistling at her to keep going. And then she dug back in once she passed it, and she finished second. So it was a great, because everybody down there on the TV was saying, no, this West Virginia bred, and she was very tiny. You know, she wasn't that big. She was like 978 pounds when she got on the machine down there, and they was laughing. Well, I'll tell you what, and if you got heart, it doesn't matter how big you are.
Right. Yeah, and he left with a nice check that day. Our first,
yes, we did.
In the open stakes, she showed him, you know, she belonged there. Then of course, like you mentioned, Time to Rock, you know, just kind of landed in your lap. You know, Jill sent him to you, and you watched him progress, and you know he's already clicked off of stakes, and maybe he's got a couple more in his future. You know, what's it been like training him for Jill, Stacey?
You know, he's a handful. Mm-hmm. He's a big boy. He's broad. But he's got a good mind. When he knows, when you tack him, he knows what he's supposed to go do, and he behaves himself most of the time. But when he gets coming into the race a couple days ahead of time, he starts to let you know, okay, whoever's going to walk me today, they better put the lip chain on because it's time. And I guess that's where he got his name. It was Time to Rock, because he said when they put him in the field, take him out of the stall and put him in the field, it was like it was Time to Rock, because he would just take off running.
Really?
It's great. He's a really nice animal. I like him a whole lot, and hopefully we can win a couple more stakes this year before it's over.
You know, and what's it like watching him run, Stacey? Because obviously he's not a prototypical 4.5 furlong horse at Charlestown. You know, he likes to do his running from the back. So, you know, what's it like knowing he's got a break and he's got to get a little bit of a trip and hopefully some pace in front of him, and clear sailing when he does kick in gear? Because when he kicks in gear, I mean, he is tough to stop.
He's always been a hard hit at the gate. He's always, if somebody makes a little move, he somehow loses it. He just, if everybody stands beside him is good, he's okay. But the few times that he's been beat for the last couple of years, it's because he has did something at the gate, stumbled, reared up, or did something at the gate. But he breaks well. When it hits the quarter pole, I told Mr. Jacobson, and he had a horse down here in the stake. Mm-hmm. He was having a conversation with one of the fans over there, and they asked him, what are you going to do? He says, when my horse breaks, it's over. Oh. So I was behind him. So the fan knew who I was, and he said, well, Stacey's got Time to Rock in there. He said, oh, he does. Well, who is that? And I turned him around. I said, well, don't choke up on the way home because I'm coming. He loves it. He loves from the quarter pole home. He's got a different gear than everybody else does. That's why we thought maybe he would go a little further, but he just turned into a sprinter. And as long as he broke and he was 3 lengths off of it, when he hit the quarter pole, when you drop his head, took off running every time. Mm. And it's amazing when you got to turn a foot like that, because he's got to turn a foot from the top of the lane home. And at Charlestown, of course, that's what you got to have if you're not on the front end, and he's got it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I remember that race against Jacobson's horse. He was a speed horse coming down from New York. He was odds on, and he was loose on the lead, pretty much 2 lengths clear at the top of the stretch, and you just run right by him. You know, and that turned out to be an optimum setup race for the West Virginia Breeders' Classics night, because he broke well that night, and you beat Duncan, Idaho, which not too many people expected.
Well, he's another one at the gate. He doesn't do very well at the gate either, but he's a really nice horse. He just did enough that night that we broke very good, and everything landed our way that day. So I was just glad to be part of it, and I thank Miss Daniels for letting me train such a nice animal.
You're listening to Ted Black interviewing Stacey Viands on
Yeah,
Midlantic Racing
he's still
Today.
got a little bit of a future. Right? I mean, he's got hopefully a prep race for the Last Enchantment, which serves as a prep race for the Dash for Cash. So I would imagine if everything falls into line for you, Stacey, and it doesn't always, of course, but I would imagine maybe a prep for the Last Enchantment, and then use that as a prep for the Breeders' Classic, because he's going in as the for the Dash for Cash this year.
Yeah, that's pretty much where we're pointed at. And we're trying to, all the conditions and everything is gone now. So we're looking at the wide open West Virginia and or the open race. That's all we got, and we was hoping that would go this yesterday, but it didn't. So they didn't bring it back because they didn't have enough horses. So we'll see what comes up here in the next few weeks.
And then another nice one. Sorry, Stacey.
Go ahead.
Another nice. Yeah, sorry about that. Another nice one you got in the barn. Winsome Cat. Obviously, not quite to the level of Parisian Diva or Time to Rock by any means, but just always runs her race, and was a really good second the other night. Got run down by Lona Lee in the last 100 yards, but it looks like she just always runs her race.
She's always there. Bought that horse from Arnold Delacour. He was in Florida. Had her on the grass. I bought her, brought her up here, and when I worked on the dirt, I just couldn't. I was like, wow, she doesn't mind the dirt. I don't understand why he didn't run her on the dirt.
Okay.
And I added blinkers. She didn't have any blinkers, and it really turned her around. And she's done great. I mean, I think she's got 9 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's what she is. 9 seconds out of 20 starts. 5 out of 6 this year, seconds. And when you run an allowance at 7,000 is okay, but we like to get a win, but she just seems to be stuck on second. She usually closes. And the other night, Moises rode her for the first time, and he had her a little close, and then he went, and she got left out there on the lead, and he said she started looking around like, where's the other horses? And then she got caught.
Right.
But that Lona lead, I can't take nothing from her. She's I think I've run against her 3 or 4 times. I think I only beat her once.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a head bob then. So she's got my number, I guess, for her. But,
all right. So you talked about some 3-year-olds you got getting ready to debut. Stacey, any 2-year-olds? I know you're usually very patient with the 2-year-olds, but anything that may hit the track juvenile campaign for you?
Yeah, I have a dialed-in filly. She's her name's On a Pedestal, Jill Daniels.
Okay.
I've got another one. Will be here Saturday. You'll like the name of this one, Diva's Legacy. And
there you go.
And she's by Divining Ride. So she's on her way. I've got a let's see. I've got a couple others that we just now starting out with. I got a street cinch filly that's coming in Saturday. Her name's Street Light from Chip Montgomery Haymarket Farms in Kentucky. She's coming in, and so I've got a few 2-year-olds that's coming, but I've got those couple 3-year-olds that I can't wait to run, that they've been doing really well. So we hope that the new stock that's coming in the barn is going to show up, perform, and we'll be very happy with that.
Yeah, let's hope you have a little bit of luck, and let's hope there's another race for on the sheet for time to rock. Prior to the last enchantment. It'd be nice to have a setup race for him going into the next couple round of stakes.
Yeah, he they changed him around when he come back this year, and we didn't have as much time with him getting ready as we did the following year. And we kind of tried to do a little bit of rushing with him, and Ms. Daniels said, listen, just get him as close as possible and we'll go from there, and there's more races. So he come running, finished 4th, got beat a couple lengths, and then when he come back, he did what he normally does and ran by him. So when he's fresh, he runs really good. So we always keep a close eye with him. When he shows me he's ready to do something and there's no race, then we do it. But we do it easy just to tease him and make him happy. So just to get it out of his system, and then he comes right back down to normal, and he's a very smart horse.
Yeah, good to hear. All right, Stacey, I think that'll do it for us today. I certainly appreciate the feedback.
Yep,
glad having you on the show. Glad hopefully something will pop up soon for Time to Rock. And just to keep in mind, you're actually about 12 wins away from 350 in your career, Stacey. So, every milestone, means a little bit, right? So.
Oh, absolutely.
350, then 400, and hopefully 500 is not too far down the road, and
right.
Quite a club.
Yeah, well, it's a good accomplishment when you normally have somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 horses, 20 couple horses, and you can do that. It's a great feeling, especially when you're part of it and you're hands on with them every day. So it's great.
Well, there you are, Ted. I thought we lost you for a second. Hey, yep. Stacey, I'm just dropping in here. I wanted to ask you. You were talking about the rider Lenworth Curlew with Parisian Diva and whatnot. What do you think? Why is it that some riders get along particularly well with some horses? What is that connection?
It's all about if you can match up your rider with the temperament of the horse, or the ones, a horse, if they feel that you're a little scared or nervous or something like that, they feel it. They know. But when somebody gets up on your back and they want to be in charge, like Lenworth, because when he spoke or hollered at her when she was going to do something wrong, she knew him. And that really helped her stay on her game. And when he asked her on the racetrack to do what he wanted her to do in the morning, she did it. And it was, he just got along with her. He sat with her. He's got great hands. Give him a lot of credit for what he did with her. Because there was, I have Joseph Barrahonis as my normal exercise rider, and he would get her if Curlew couldn't, because he trains his own horses, but he just got along. She just got along a whole lot better with Curlew than she did with Joe. But it's great when you got good help. It's what it needs. You got to have it. My assistant, James Ruffner, he's been with me for 12, going on 13 years. His wife, she works for me. I put it through with the grooms, the hot walkers, my riders. It's a team. If you don't work together, it just don't work. But it's Curlew was very, very well respected for her, and Melinda Golden, she took care of him as much as she did me and the rest of the gang. So it was great.
But yeah, hey, no, I appreciate the feedback, Stacey. I think we're good for signing off, and certainly hope you have a little bit of luck this weekend, and look forward to seeing Time to Rock when he gets back to the track.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for your time, Stacey.
Now
Take
here's
care.
Frank Vespi with Charlestown track announcer Paul Espinosa on Midlantic Racing Today.
Paul, good to see you. How's the summer going? We're been I guess about a month since we saw you.
Yeah, it's been going well. It's great to have stakes action back. Obviously, last week, we got it rolling, and then looking forward to continuing it again this week. But yeah, it definitely kind of feels like we're kind of gearing up for what's to come. We're just over a month away from Charlestown Classic and Oaks Night, and but first things first, I got some stakes action to get through before we get to that point.
Yeah, and it feels to me, we were talking off air, it feels to me like the story is starting to resolve itself a little bit into the 3-year-old boys and the 3-year-old girls look kind of like one-horse divisions. There's kind of one horse here and then a bunch of them down here. Let's start with the boys last week. Ryan's Run. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, he's the real deal. It's I thought that it was an interesting lead up for him into this race. There was at least a little bit of uncertainty in my mind, just because, obviously in my time here, Jeff Runco, he has trainers have, tells, or they maybe not necessarily tells, but they have patterns that you get used to. And he was coming into this race off of a pattern that I didn't really see Jeff do a lot, with the 4.5 furlong races. And then he gets the test in the stakes race. I feel like I typically see his horses stretch out first in allowance race, and then you test the waters in the stakes. But right. For whatever reason, whether it's the condition book or what, we still had that question: would the extra turn, would the extra ground catch up with him? And it very much did not. He was still untested, and he just I don't know what more you could have asked for him to do. It was an interesting race on paper where it looked like there was a lot of speed. Ended up not really having to work all that hard on the front end, but clearly he had plenty left in the tank, and he looks like a serious, not just West Virginia bred, but serious 3-year-old that'll have to be dealt with here in the Mid-Atlantic for quite some time, it would appear.
Yeah, no, it certainly looks that way. He was very, very good. No, it's interesting what you say, because Runco sent out 2 horses. He also had Penguin's Pride, and on paper, they were sort of the 2 obvious players in the race, but they both came in with questions. I mean, as you said, Ryan's Run, he'd won a stake. He'd never been challenged, but he'd never done 2 turns before. And then Penguin's Pride had one going 2 turns, but not tried stakes company yet. And he whiffed the break, and that was pretty much the end of that. I mean, he was really never involved. That was had to be a disappointing performance for David Rame and Runco, but Ryan's Run answered the questions. Here's a question to you, though. So the time was good, but it was just a little faster than the older fillies and mares did the same distance one race prior. Do you take anything from that?
So I feel like there was always this thing about clearly you would like to think that he had more in the tank if he needed it, but it seems like the pendulum is starting to swing, at least from like, public handicappers, that you can get yourself into some trouble projecting something like that. That a lot of the time, the horses, they are going as fast as as they can, pretty much. Now,
Right.
Again, I would like to think that there was probably a few tenths somewhere left in the tank, but yeah, I feel like just my bigger thing, and to your point with the time, you mentioned Penguin's Pride. He went like 124 in his prep race for the Leavitt. Ryan's Run was a half second off the track record, going 4.5. The track has been fast here this summer, and I think that has a little bit to do with, again, we've kind of had to keep things pretty tight because of the amount of rain that we've gotten. I don't have any sort of measurements for you as to how much we've gotten. I just know that it's pretty much rained, seemingly every day. Luckily, as the sun's out over my shoulder right now, but we've gotten a lot of rain, and so I'd imagine that, again, we've kind of had to keep things a little bit tighter. And so, yeah, I mean, I think you probably would have liked to have seen him, maybe put a little bit more distance between himself and the older fillies and mares, like you mentioned. But I would like to think that the combination of not really being asked through the stretch, and then still the fact that he had not been this far. He's obviously had some pretty stamina building works where clearly he had the foundation to get it done. But I think that, this would probably set him up really nicely for his next start, which I would assume would be on Charlestown Classic night in the Robert Hilton Memorial. After the race, I kind of realized in doing some self-reflection that I have a little bit of a bad habit of, when a horse is drawing off by the length of the stretch and there are big races coming up, I have a bad habit of telling trainers where I think they should run their horses. And, in the call I referenced, they're like, oh, it's on the Robert Hilton Memorial. Part of that, obviously, if somebody does get upset by that, I am sorry. But I feel like it is a compliment. And it is also knowing the horse, knowing the connections, knowing that Jeff, definitely takes advantage of having these rich races right in your backyard, and yeah, so I don't want to put the cart before the horse. I haven't heard it from his mouth. I know that Ted Black had talked to him and indicated that the Robert Hilton was definitely going to be under consideration, and I would think that he would be a handful for just about anybody that would be coming outside of maybe Englishmen. I think that, again, that Englishman kind of seems like he breathes different air for Cherie DeVaux. I don't think we'll have to worry about him coming down here for
I'd
the
be surprised.
Hilton.
Yeah.
But I would think that anybody else is going to have to bring their A race to be able to beat him, because he seems like there might even be more in the tank. And if there is, we'll see what is in the tank that night.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And he had said that it was certainly a race they would nominate to and put under strong consideration. And, we'll see. Obviously, as every trainer will say, well, we'll see how the horse is doing and what he's telling us. And then, as you say, who's coming, and if it's Englishmen, that leads you in one direction. But if it's most of the rest of the division, it probably, I don't know who he needs to be terrified of. Let's say that. Like, who would you not enter if he came? And certainly, it looks like he's going to be competitive. I mean, I think last year was a Faster Gator ran in that race, and he's turned out to be a nice horse for Farrier. I feel like Ryan's Run might be a little ahead of where they were at this moment.
Yeah, and Faster Gator, he had a pretty good start to his campaign. I know he'd run in the Bayshore.
He ran well
New York
there, and then had a couple other races that were just okay, right?
Right. Yeah. And so I definitely think that in terms of, and Faster Gator had only run the one time here at Charlestown, and it was a really good allowance win. But I believe was, for the most part, Farrier obviously has horses, kind of stabled around the Mid-Atlantic and the Midwest, and I believe he's kind of been pretty much based down in Maryland. So at least Ryan's Run certainly has, like, this is his home track. This is the only track I would imagine he's ever set foot on, since he's begun training, and his first race was back in January. So yeah, it's an interesting parallel between those two, and then obviously that race, Barbadian Runner, came out of that race, and he's gone on to do some good things. I see where he's kind of hopefully getting his maybe last Charlestown Classic prep in this Saturday down at Colonial as well. It's always just such a great great time of year where it's like you're checking on all the entries around the Mid-Atlantic, around abroad, and you're like, this horse would make sense to come here. This horse looks like he'd fit, and there I go again, coming up with plans for other people's horses. It's a bad habit that I gotta kick here, but
that's part of the fun of being a racing fan is, thinking about where they might show up next. And particularly in your job, you have a rooting interest in where they might show up next. So
I'll also blame the horses that, again, if they weren't winning by such big margins and leaving me with nothing else to say in the call, because it's like, what exactly, how else am I supposed to, unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to go with Ryan's run, moving like a tremendous machine. That's kind of already been taken.
Yeah, like somebody took that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just sort of, that's, I guess, what I've, in my subconscious, that's what I figured I'll fill the length of the stretch with. It's just thinking about where they're going to end up. But again, it is definitely, I mean it as a compliment, because those are big races. And like you said, we do have a vested interest in wanting those races to be good. And I want the locals to embrace them and to, again, do what the run into levy is, the late night powwows, the overnight powwows, the faster gators, do what they do and take advantage of having this in your backyard and showing that, these bull ring specialists, they can make some noise in these races.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's always fun to see the locals take the big swing, especially when they run well in it. You mentioned Barbadian Runner. I had talked to Henry Walters, the trainer, after his most recent start, and Henry's very much a race by race guy, but he said that they would certainly be, that would be on the radar screen with the Charlestown Classic, assuming he also doesn't miss any dances. So he's running, I think it's a Love Sign this week that he's running in at Colonial Downs, and see how that goes. But hopefully he'll come to CT in now a month. We're just a month away. It's creeping up on us. So this week we got Sylvia Bishop Memorial memorializing the first Black woman to be a licensed thoroughbred trainer, Sylvia Bishop, who plied her trade at Charlestown. And as much as you think Ryan's run might have scared people away, at a premium's got him running for the hills, is what it looks like.
She does indeed. And, I was trying to kind of jog my memory as to when the last time was that you've obviously mentioned the fact that we've got kind of 2 one-horse divisions right now. And I was trying to remember when the last time we had like 2 horses. Like, I feel like I remember one division having a good one and then, another one just, being okay. But like, when was the last time that we had 2, like, looks like real world beater types, West Virginia world beater types, and I was thinking maybe I'm actually overthinking that, and maybe Juba with the Twist and Overnight Powwow, maybe you could put those in that category. But I feel like again, she is another one that we haven't, I don't think, seen her absolute best yet, which is kind of crazy. At least she hasn't been asked for it at any of those races. We talked about the track being fast, and so that was an eye-popping time last time. The speed figures, again, don't really, I don't think, it wasn't like she got a Knightsbridge speed figure like he got up there in the Monmouth Cup or anything like that. But again, she's done everything that you would want a good horse to do. Nobody's gotten within 7 lengths of her, and so I guess my question would kind of be, and I know that you could get in trouble, I guess, thinking about this. It's like, if you are David Walters, we talked about Henry Walters, but if you're David Walters, what are your instructions to Jairo Barbosa? Are you, because, do you want to run so big now that you are about a month out? Do you want to have another like kind of eye-popping performance against the clock this time and like, potentially run the risk of knocking her out for a race like the Charlestown Oaks? Do you, I guess I'd just be kind of curious to see like what that dynamic is. Cause you obviously you're entering this race to win, clearly, but do you want to, can you walk and chew gum at the same time, basically? And I'd just be curious to see kind of how that goes, because I just think that, again, clearly if she shows up and she doesn't bounce from her last big effort, then everybody else clearly is running for second in this 4-horse field, which, still 3 other, really nice fillies. These are fillies that I think most years, you'd be happy to have kind of be the 1, 2, 3 in this race. but at a premium appears to be kind of breathing different air at this juncture.
Yeah, I mean that last race, you got a 91 Beyer speed figure, which is higher than anything Ryan's Run has gotten so far, and just towers over these fillies. You mentioned if she bounces, she could bounce off that and still win. I mean, if she drops into the 70s, still probably wins. So no, it's a fair point, though. I mean, obviously you want to win here, but this isn't the goal at this point. Other races, including the Oaks, are not far away. So you'd like to win with something in the tank, as we were talking about.
I agree. And one kind of interesting note that I kind of noticed when I was doing the morning line, spoiler alert, she'll be 1 to 5 on the morning line. I don't believe that our in-house, Encompass, I guess, I don't believe I can actually go 1 to 9, but I probably would if I could. I'd have to test that out. But notice that Jill Daniel has now brought in Michael Miller as a co-owner of At a Premium, and so don't have any details. We'll let the racing biz do some sleuthing as to how that came about. But Michael Miller obviously has had horses with David Walters for a long time, and so he now has 2 of his big clients united on this filly. And so, I'd imagine that you when you bring in other people, that this kind of, if anything, it just kind of furthers where you're going to want to really see what we got here. And so I hope that we get another step towards finding out that answer on Saturday. Again, it's we made it the 3rd race on the card, just sort of I know a lot of tracks will do that when they if they have a race come up a little bit light, and just hopefully a good race to be a fan of. And obviously, as a race caller, clearly you don't want to assume anything. You want to obviously prepare for multiple things to happen, and clearly what in your mind is more likely than not to happen. But yeah, it's going to be just I think hopefully we do get to learn a little bit of something more about her. I would imagine that Jeff Runco has 2 entrants. They are on either side, and Orange Canyon has some speed. I would imagine. I guess I don't really know how that instruction would go either. Do you want to just say, do you want to concede the race and just kind of have this be still a nice paid workout for your horses behind her, or does he want to try to spice things up and kind of have Orange Canyon go, because she looks like she might kind of be, she definitely does her best work on the front end, whereas Johanna, she seems to she obviously is more of a closer.
Yeah.
How aggressive do they end up getting? I guess that would be the point that I would be curious about, and we'll probably have a good idea by the time they complete a furlong and race bias for the first time. We'll have an idea of what the strategy is looking like in that race for sure.
You're listening to Frank Vespi and Paul Espinosa on Midlantic Racing Today.
Which may imply that he's going to take one out, or he might not take one out. And I think you're right to raise that, Paul. I mean, it seems like to me, if he leaves them both in, if Orange Canyon does her best work in the front anyway, she's leaving from the rail, you may as well send. And if obviously At a Premium's better horse than Orange Canyon, but if you send, maybe you steal it on the front end, or maybe you wear out At a Premium, and Johanna can pick up the pieces, or maybe At a Premium is just that good, and it doesn't really matter.
I'd also be curious too. I mean, she in At a Premium's 2nd race, she went 24-1, 48-1. She seemed to be rating kindly. I wouldn't have any reservations about her ability to rate based on that, but at some point too, it's what does David Walters decide to do? Maybe he again doesn't try to take any chances, and he can train her to take dirt in the morning if he feels like he needs to. But would you think about saying, okay, well, we see how this is going to go, sit just off of Orange Canyon just to see, kind of give her that little bit of a test. I don't think they'll get that cute. But it'll just be interesting to see. Tactically, I think that will be determined by the time they race bias for the first time, and then we'll kind of have an idea. And yes, to your point, I noticed, like you said, that Boca Chica is named on both. That's an interesting one. I know his apprentice that had been riding Johanna. I know that he's actually going to be riding out at Del Mar this summer. Warren Ebo III, and so part of me kind of wonders if maybe that was, maybe he's just going to, just see. Maybe he was just seeing how the race was, if it was going to go. I mean, I'd obviously assume that we were going to try to make this pretty much, any way that we could.
You want it to go, yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't be shocked by any means if one of them did end up coming out. But yeah, would obviously like to keep it at least 4. That feels like that's not too much to ask. But
4 is better than 3 or 2.
Yes.
So. All right, so should be interesting. Third race on Saturday at a premium, looks to go 4 for 4 in the Sylvia Bishop Memorial, and will be 1 to 5 on the morning line. You heard it here first. You referenced Warren Ebo going out to Del Mar. Boy, that's a surprise to me. It seemed like to me from afar, it took him a little while to get traction, and it seemed like he was starting to get some, and now he's going to go to Del Mar, which is a pretty tough colony to get a foothold.
Some deep waters out there where the turf meets the surf, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean,
I see what you did there.
Yeah, yep. I do feel like I remember I guess he will have the trivia. Answer the trivia question of the last jockey to win aboard Muad'Dib. I do believe it will go down as Warren Ebo III. So you'll be able to win all of your bar trivia that you in the Mid Atlantic there. Any of your local watering holes. But yeah, I mean he seemed to be figuring it out. I don't know that and this is no offense to him by any means. I never had a chance to meet him. I didn't see anything that suggested like, oh, this guy, like, the last one that kind of, comes to mind for me is Axel Concepcion. Like he rode here quite a bit, rode for Ronney Brown quite a bit. And he, it seemed like you would notice his rides. I hadn't seen Warren, rise to that level yet, but he is still just a kid. I mean, I think he legitimately is 19 years old. So again, he's clearly not a finished product. It's sure. It's an interesting. I'm with you though. It's an interesting decision because it does seem like while California has taken its licks in terms of jockeys coming and going, it does still seem like it would be a hard colony to break into for the summer. It's be a tough one.
Yeah, no, it's. I remember when Fogelsonger did really well in Maryland and then went out there and that turned out to be a mistake in terms of his career, and which he'll acknowledge. But it's a tough place to get going. It's a good colony out there, and you're a kid who's been riding at Charlestown. I'm not sure that's gonna. You better open some eyes in the mornings, I guess, because I don't think people are going to be going, oh, you won on Muad'Dib. So
yeah, unfortunately, that's only me.
Yeah. And whoever we could beat with bar trivia.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, that's certainly wish him the best of luck. And I do. It is still I guess I kind of wonder too. It wasn't like that. It was really easy he wasn't like he was standing out from, we have a lot of apprentices right now. That's the other part. That's what I was trying to get at is that, we have a lot of kids with the bug. And so, it's not like he was the lone guy here where, he was still having to fight probably for mounts here a little bit. So, I guess if, I will give him that if you were wanting to, pick one spot to fight, I love Charlestown. It's my hometown, but Del Mar that's a tough one to pass up there. I mean, it's like, didn't get any mounts today. Let's just head to the beach.
Head to the beach. Yeah.
Head to the brig.
Not so bad. Not so bad. No, it's a nice place. First baby races of the year. Farrier got the first one, and I guess there's another one this coming weekend. And you mentioned there's a little bit of pedigree to pay attention to.
There is, yep, and so it'll be interesting to see. We've talked a lot about Ryan's run. Well, his little brother is going to be taking to the track, or at least he is scheduled to take to the track in the third race on Friday night, and that is Calvin's run. I also haven't gotten to talk to Jeff about the significance of Ryan and Calvin and who those are named after. He has another horse on the also eligibles on Friday named Jack Carson. So yeah, I got a lot of names to try to figure out, but
a lot of names here. Yeah,
exactly. And then Crystal Vale on the outside for Farrier, Philly taking on the boys. There are 4 fillies in that race, in that field of 10. So it's not like she's alone in that regard, but she's been working well. She's out of Honey Child. I know that they've had plenty of Jim Miller and his friends and confidants. They've had a lot of luck with progeny from Honey Child. Fuzzy Whiz LLC. I don't know who that ownership is, but that's who owns Crystal Vale in partnership with breeder Jim Miller. So yeah, it's been always fun. From an announcing standpoint, I think might have mentioned this to you before, but those are always the toughest races to call for me every year. Harder than the Charlestown Classic, Charlestown Oaks, because you have no names in your head already. It's like every horse is new. When we had the baby race, a couple weeks ago, that was the thing. It's like all 10 of them were first time starters, and so you don't have any gimmies, you don't have any freebies, and so now at least a couple of these have run before, and so. But yeah, I will look forward to them hopefully running some more even, and being able to at least bank them somewhere in this weird noggin of mine. So,
well, and with the babies, a lot of which ones are going to act up in the gate, and then are they going to go that way, when the gates open, and so lots of things could happen. A lot of things for you to be aware of and ready for, and you're doing it in 4.5 furlongs.
That's the big thing too. Yeah, it's you don't have it automatically the pace is going to be more frenetic, and like you said, the loading process can normally take a little bit longer than some of these other, fields, because you do have some babies that want to do things that, their own way. And so this whole time that they're loading, you're just like, oh gosh, all these names. I just, as they're walking to the gate, I'm getting a nice look at them. And then all of a sudden they're in the gate and I can't see them. And I just feel my memory just slowly slipping away. And so yeah, I hope for a fast load and a fast start and them all to come away single file in a nice, neat line.
There you go. We'll put in a request for that.
Thank you.
All right, Paul Espinosa, good to catch up with you again. Now, I understand we won't have you next week. You're going to be on a little well-deserved vacation. Good for you. And I guess we'll see you in a couple of weeks then. Yeah,
family's going down on Saturday, but obviously, I couldn't miss the chance to call at a premium, and so I might be dumb, but I'm not crazy, and so looking forward to a little week down sand and sun, and hopefully, as I mentioned to you, be fatter and tanner for the lead up to Charlestown Classic and Oaks Night, and it'll be here before you know it, and looking forward to talking with you along the way, and like I said, it'll be a lot of fun, and looking forward to seeing, hopefully getting some more answers as to maybe who the first Oaks probable will be after this Saturday.
All right, sounds good. Thanks so much.
All right, you got it, Frank.
Thanks to Paul Espinosa. Thanks to Ted Black. Thanks to Stacey Viands, and most of all, thanks to you for listening, watching, and we hope liking and subscribing to Midlantic Racing Today. Midlantic Racing Today is powered by The Racing Biz, theracingbiz.com, and today's episode of Charlestown Races Today is presented by our friends at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. My name's Frank Vespi. You've been listening to Midlantic Racing Today. Thanks for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow with a new episode focused on Delaware Park. So please come back tomorrow and check us out. Thanks again. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you next time.